In recent news, you've probably heard that the Apex Legends community has been in a shitstorm ever since the release of the recent Iron Crown event scam. And right off the bat, I'll tell you that I'm in total agreement with the general consensus of the Apex community. You have a scenario where fans are mad. The fans are upset. Some are swearing to never spend a dime on Apex ever again, and I honestly think statements like that are inherently justified. Yet somehow there still seems to be this presence of a Respawn defense force that claims that Respawn isn't wrong. The community's toxic. The community's overreacting to issues that aren't really as big as they make them out to be. So here I am once again flabbergasted yet again that there can still be people on EA and Respawn's corporate cock defending not only the negative actions created by Respawn themselves, but also attacking the negative reactions by the community which are warranted. So today I thought it would be appropriate to explain my opinion towards the topic and attempt to set things straight, to detail the reason why people are so upset at Respawn and why being upset is okay. Let's start by addressing the controversy itself, because I believe that people aren't perceiving this issue to its full extent. First, I can already imagine people in the comment section criticize this video because I'm talking about microtransactions in a free-to-play video game. The argument's like, it's cosmetic only, the game is free, and I understand this argument. Look, I get it, sometimes it works, but not this time. How come? How so? Well, microtransactions aren't the sole reason the community is so fired up right now. You want to know why people are pissed off? People are pissed off because of the pricing, and I think you're going to have a hard time defending a reason for why a bundle of 7 Apex crates is more expensive than a $60 video game. But let's quickly explain what this event offers. In its entirety, the Iron Crown event contains 12 epic and 12 legendary items, all distributed into 24 different loot boxes, amounting to a total cost of about $170, or about $7 an Apex crate. Meanwhile, the regular Apex crates are only $1 a piece. Sounds bad, doesn't it? Oh yeah, that's right, it gets worse when you consider that each Iron Crown crate only has a 50% chance of receiving a legendary item, so you still aren't getting the guaranteed item that you want. In other words, it's gambling. Plain and simple, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We're going to charge you a full price game for only a chance to get some bullshit garbage ass cosmetic item you can't even see in game. But it doesn't just stop there. The problem isn't just that Respawn added these disgusting microtransactions to their game and then proceeded to call the Apex community of freeloaders dicks and asshats like you'd see in the news. The problem that many don't recognize is that before any of this stuff even happened, the Apex community was already in disarray. See, the Apex community was already voicing issues and concerns with the game's networking and servers, among many other issues. Not even getting into the fact that Respawn are so slow to action when addressing issues, squashing bugs, and actually listening to the community. One of the biggest problems, though, with Apex, as you may know, is the matchmaking error called Code Leaf and CodeNet. Now, this error has plagued the game for a while now, booting you and everyone else back to the lobby on a consistent basis. This got even more annoying when you were trying to find a ranked match and diamond rank or higher, where search times already could range from 3 to 10 minutes at any given time frame. Here's what would happen. You start the matchmaking queue, search for 5 minutes, you finally get a game, and then yep, that's right, you're booted back to the lobby, creating this endless loop that stops you from playing matchmaking. Factor this in with the awful servers, shitty data centers, and high pings, and you have a scenario where the gameplay experience is often degraded, ruined, or even made downright unplayable for many. So because of these factors, many players are looking forward to the Iron Crown event update in hopes that it would fix, or at least provide a solution to some of these network issues to some degree. But instead, what happened? What do we get? Yep, that's right, you already know it, you guessed it. No progression was made on this front, and instead, the Apex Legends community was greeted to a new event-based microtransaction system that nobody expected or even asked for. A new microtransaction event, mind you, that intentionally increased prices so high for useless cosmetics just to see how much they can get away with this time. So let's recap, okay? On top of the lack of communication and issues with networking and servers, on top of doing fuck all about bugs, issues, and satisfying your fan base in that regard, we also got introduced to this garbage, pricing, manipulative microtransaction system. Yeah, it's not rocket science. I mean, who in the fuck would be okay with a half-functioning product all of a sudden receiving overpriced microtransactions? It's not right. Of course players are getting pissed off. Of course they're getting raged and disappointed and feeling disrespected by Respawn. And this is why I totally sympathize around these community reactions. It's like Respawn tried to build a Porsche on a fucking house that's already on fire. Well, how's that gonna work? It won't. Imagine, you're standing there in disbelief watching a house burn down. But in the front of the house, you see the Respawn contracting crew still building the porch. Flames are blazing out of the windows, smoke is being dispersed left and right, and these fucks are standing there hammering wooden planks onto the foundation still. It won't work, because Respawn should have respected their fan base. They should have put the fire out before adding anything else considered additional to the foundation of Apex, and especially something as controversial as limited time event-based microtransactions. But it only gets worse. Because we finally arrived at the notorious part of the video, the part you probably heard about where Respawn developer and community manager responded to comments on the Apex subreddit calling fans freeloaders, dicks, and asshats. The part where one of the guys working on that porch for the Respawn contracting crew decides to throw gas on the entire fire and causes an explosion. Ironically, all these comments can be found on their "We're going to do right by the community this time" post, detailing that they will make the individual skins purchasable on a day-to-day basis, something that quite frankly does nothing to alleviate the shitstorm that Respawn created. And this is where Respawn royally screwed up. Within minutes, they literally converted the community tension, anger, and outrage from a 10 into a 20. And once again, how can you blame them? How can you blame an angry customer for being upset when a company representative resorts to name calling? Here's an example. You call your cable company, your service is crap, nothing's working, you voice your concern, and the customer service representative calls you a dick for voicing your valid opinion. The guy would get immediately fired or reprimanded, as it's part of the job description to be a professional involving consumer interaction. Not good enough for you? How about this one? You walk into your favorite restaurant, your server sucks, he's having a bad day, his day was ruined because he was just called a dick by one of the Apex devs last night. Now he wants to take his anger out on you and the customers. He does a bad job catering your food, he doesn't care anymore, you complain, and he calls you an asshat. That guy will be out of there faster than you know it, especially when he doesn't do a good job in the first place, and this is how I look at the situation with Respawn Entertainment. So let's highlight some of the official statements from the Respawn devs just to explain how idiotic they are. Reading it from the official Apex subreddit, DKO stated, "I've been in the industry long enough to remember when players weren't complete asshats to developers, and it was pretty neat. I forged a bunch of long-lasting relationships from back then. Would be awesome to get back there and not engaging with toxic people or asking how high when a mob screams jump." So this guy recollects a time where gamers weren't so-called asshats and were actually nice to game developers at one point. And why were gamers nice? It's a good question. I mean, why was the bond between developer and community much better before? Well, I guess this idiot doesn't understand that force-feeding the community microtransactions that are 3 times more expensive than a full-price $60 video game could probably cause some unhealthy community-developer interactions. And on second thought, how are you going to sit there and cry and complain about a toxic community when your decision ultimately resulted in that toxic community? Already as I was reading this, I was immensely disappointed with Respawn, and they immediately lost any last shred of the little respect I had left. Moving on to a second comment from DKO once again, he replies to a comment from a fan voicing his legitimate issues with the previous statement that I just read. The dev states here, "Hey everyone, found the dick I was talking about. Guess what? I didn't even read your comment except for the first sentence and last. This kind of garbage doesn't warrant a reply, but lucky for you, I already made a comment about this earlier. Go find it." Okay. Here's my issue with this. It's obvious this guy's a child. How are you going to call yourself a professional game developer when you stoop down to this level with your unsatisfied customer who has the right to be unsatisfied? But nope, not only did this guy run his mouth calling the customer a dick, he also excused the customer's entire concern by not even reading his reply. How professional is it to resort to la 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 la, I didn't read your post, I can't hear you, insanity. Pure madness. I mean, how can you justify supporting these guys after something like this? I mean, how can you even call yourself sane if for even a second you defend these negative community developer interactions? And do you want to know the reason why this shocks me? Another reason why I don't like all this crap going on? It reveals to me that EA and other publishers are probably not the only culprit behind these microtransactions, when it's obvious that there's a portion of developers at Respawn who could clearly give a damn less about their customers. And finally, to the last comment among the many controversial ones that I will feature in this video, a fan with constructive criticism, mind you, suggested that the prices in Apex were too high. Which they are, I agree. Apex dev DKO ran his mouth again, saying, "There is a wealth of data available on how monetization works in free-to-play games, and we ourselves have run tests by putting skins on sale in the store. The amount of people who spend is crazy low. Most of y'all are freeloaders, and we love that, and a change in price doesn't move the needle." And I'll admit, this one isn't as bad as the other 2 comments that I just read, but it's still a general principle. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous that just to call people who use their wallets wisely freeloaders. People like you, people like me, who understand that, you know what? No, maybe $20 is too expensive for this character skin that you can't even fucking see in the video game. Then this dude has the audacity to say that putting skins on sale in the store and the BS data collected from that suggests that lower prices really wouldn't matter or help. Well, you want to know the truth? Here's the truth. You can never take advantage of a sale on Apex because you still have to purchase the $20 coin bundle regardless if a skin is on discount. What do you mean? I don't understand. Alright, say the skin is on sale for $12.99 for a couple of days. Okay, let's buy it. You go to the store, you open it up, but it says here you can only buy Apex coins in a bundle of $10, $20, and higher. So regardless of a skin being on sale or not, I'm still spending $20 on Apex coins for a $13 skin. Isn't that bullshit? So what this dev is saying is essentially nonsense. And to my subscribers, you can already understand my thoughts on game devs receiving inaccurate data that influences big decision making in video games. It's nonsense. And after reading all of these developer comments, can you understand why people lost their shit? Can you understand why people are done supporting Respawn and why the community in a sense feels betrayed by its own developers? It's unacceptable. Period. But I know how this will pan out. I know how it's going to be. Someone in the comments is going to call me a hater. Some nutjob in the comment section is going to accuse me and the fanbase for being toxic in an attempt to defend the actions of the Respawn developer team. And how does it work like that? How are you going to tell me that when Respawn are the ones themselves who created this toxic microtransaction system, ultimately being the cause of this community outrage? But then I bet someone's going to hastily reply with a, oh, but the CEO of Respawn came out and said that people are making death threats and the community crossed the line and this, that, and the third. Right. Death threats. You bring up a good point. Death threats are never right, ever, at all, under any circumstances. I would never condone such a thing. But you know what? I don't buy it. Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny that the death threat PR spin is used as one of the favorite lines among the game devs these days? Here's how it goes. The game devs just fucks up like Respawn did, pulls out the death threat PR tool out of his toolbox, zooms in on the 0.00001% of the retards in the community who were actually making these death threats, uses that to reframe the entire argument of a controversy, making them look like the victim while simultaneously ignoring the other 99% of the gamers who weren't flying off the handle like the community manager was. Then the pawns of the community start questioning themselves. Maybe we did fly off the handle. Great. Good job, Respawn. Use death threats as a way to shift community focus while at the same time cooling fans off about their justified outrage. Ask yourself, have you ever seen a death threat yourself to a developer? I can't. I've never seen one. I can remember when 343 did the same thing with Halo MCC along with Fortnite. In any case, my point still stands. Respawn royally fucked up this time, and I'm glad there's a large portion of the community out there with spines. People who recognize that what Respawn did over this past week was downright unacceptable and how wrong it is to verbally harm your consumers just to try to get a stupid point across. Especially when you consider that consumers are dissatisfied with how the product functions. But look, I love Apex. The game is fun. It's awesome. It's consumed a lot of my time since it came out for release. But my enjoyment for this game will not sway my opinions in regards to consumer ethics about what is and isn't right. So what I wanted you to take away from this video is that you know that all this outrage is justified. It's okay. It's fine. It's warranted. This is what happens when you stockpile a vast amount of issues on top of your consumers. When you refuse to interact or communicate with your community, add pricey microtransactions to a game with servers that hardly even function, and then resort to name calling people dicks, asshats, and freeloaders. You are damn right that people will get upset, people will get mad, people will lose respect for Respawn, and an unhealthy developer community interaction will exist. So as I near the end of this video, what's going to happen now? What's going to happen at the end of the day? Well, I'm still going to play Apex. It still has good gameplay. I'm still going to enjoy it. But this is the last dime Respawn will ever get out of me, and that's the case with many, many others. Before all this, I considered any purchases on the Battle Pass almost as donations that supported a game that I thoroughly enjoyed. But after everything that's happened, and the way consumers have been treated, I don't think Respawn deserve any of my gratitude, and I don't think they deserve yours too. That brings us to the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and most of all, I hope that my points really made sense. As always, I'd like to thank you for watching. Remember to leave a like, share, comment your thoughts and concerns on the video, and lastly, subscribe to Weapons Grade for more content on the future of Apex and gaming in general. Peace.